Sorry, thank you.
Tēnā koutou
I haven't been
katoa.
managing the meeting properly. I've been letting people drift, so...
I'm always grateful for a little drift, Madam Mayor. It's a pleasure as always to see you and Councillor Turner again. Thank you, and the rest of you, of course. So I'm a little bit schizophrenic this morning. First of my presentations is about Pest-Free Banks Peninsula, and then in 4 minutes and 38 seconds I'll wear another hat as chair of the Friends of Akaroa Museum. So as you know, in 2018, the Council was one of 14 signatories to the Pest-Free Banks Peninsula MOU, and this formalised the community-led program to protect and enhance biodiversity on the peninsula through the widespread eradication of animal pests. We've made a lot of progress with funding support from the Department of Conservation and Environment Canterbury. We now have a $10 million 5-year program. We've recently employed 13 staff, and we're targeting eradication programs for Kaiteriti and for the extended wild side, which is just over 20,000 hectares on southeastern Banks Peninsula. These are the first areas in a progressive rollout to eradicate animal pests such as possums, rats, stoats and feral cats from the peninsula. Alongside this, we have a program for the removal of feral goats from the peninsula and a substantial work program to engage with households and community-based groups for local trapping programs. Now, for the last 2 years, the Council has helped the community-based predator control program, such as predator-free Port Hills, around the Port Hills and adjacent areas. The $60,000 provided for both of the last 2 years has included direct support for trap building workshops to enable progress towards our goal of 4,000 households engaged actively in trapping by 2024, and supported pest control for Te Kahukura. Where for the long-term plan, we're seeking council support to expand these programs. Specifically, we're asking for funding of $120,000 for the 2021-22 financial year to continue the current initiatives already underway for locally led pest control activities and for Te Kahukura. An expansion of this funding to $200,000 in the following year and a continuation of this for the life of the LTP is also requested. This will enable the extension of this program across the peninsula and into the adjacent Christchurch suburbs. We're also seeking funding of $40,000 a year until year ending June 2024 to continue support for eradication of feral goats from the peninsula. This is a really important collaborative initiative led by the rural community on the peninsula and supported by council staff, the Department of Conservation and ECAN, and it has significant benefits for biodiversity, economic and carbon sequestration, as I've outlined in my written summary. So there's a lot more I could say about that, but rather than prey on your patience, because you have it in front of you, I'm happy to answer questions.
Do not ask us questions. Okay, that's fine. Pauline.
Thank you. Just one out of interest. We read in the paper recently about the deer on Quail Island.
Yeah.
Is that on your radar as well as the goats, or?
It is on our radar. The constraint we have is that in formulating Pest-Free Banks Peninsula, we were required to do a few things, but one of them was to guarantee eradication of one particular species. And the bulk of the money we received to get started was from Predator Free New Zealand 2050, wow. And they were focused on possums, mustelids and rats. We've expanded it with your support to include feral goats, and we know quite a lot about feral deer on the peninsula. But to make that happen, we would need a whole additional funding stream.
Is there any way we can stop them just getting to Quail Island? Obviously they go over when the tide's out, do they?
Yeah, they swim.
Yeah.
They're good swimmers.
Can they swim like at any time, like even when the tide's right in? Or are they going over when it's low tide?
I'm afraid I'm not an expert on deer behaviour or swimming activity in particular. but we can find out for you if you'd like.
I just wonder if there's one access point that maybe we could look at fencing it off, because it appears that they're actually undoing all that good planting work that's happening on
Yeah,
Quail
yeah,
Island.
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank-
Thanks for the question.
Good. Well, thank you. That brings you to the end of that one. And if you would like to put your Friends of Akaroa Museum hat on, and I see you've been joined